everyone, it's Karen Baker and I'm here to talk about some new products to me that have been sent very kindly by Gütermann and by Vlieseline. Now, I was aware of Gütermann threads. I think most people who've been sewing for a while know that Gütermann produce absolutely beautiful quality threads. I'll try and open these so that we can get the glare off them. They're known for absolutely beautiful quality threads. These ones, in fact, match a collection of fabric. Now, you might say Gütermann fabric. That was exactly what I said too. I wasn't aware that they did fabric until recently, and they've kindly sent me some fabric to make some projects with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some things, and I'm going to show you what I've made and just talk about how lovely these products are. Now, if I show you the front of this, you'll see it says Gütermann Ring of Roses. Now that talks of their fabric collection, and they've got various fabrics and various collections under the Ring of Roses label. And the ones that I have today are called Cozy Mood. That's the collection, and all of these beautiful colors actually match all of the fabrics. So the three that I've chosen, you can see they're really different. The quality is absolutely beautiful, absolutely top quality cotton. It's got a beautiful weight to it. It is a really gorgeous fabric, beautifully printed, none of the skew whiff designs that you can get occasionally. It is top quality. So you might think these are a slightly odd combination, but you'll see that once I've made things, it works. So we've got this beautiful pattern, just bring it up so you can see. And then we've got this, which I think is probably my favorite. Look at the florals on this. And I'm going to do various things with this, both using them as the full fabric and using to cut out elements from it. And then I've just got a contrasting, beautiful, plain colour. Now, to add to that, I was also sent from Vlieseline 2 of the products, which one of them I've used before, one of them I'm going to be really excited to look at and see how well it goes with the projects that I'm making. Now, this is Decaville Light. Now, I've known about it, but I've never used it. So I'm going to be using this in my bag making. And also we have the Vlieseline H630, okay, which is bonded with glue one-sided. So I'm going to be using that on my projects. So let's get started. So these are the projects that I have made using them, and we're going to show you a little bit later how to do the Canadian smocking. Excuse me, but what we're going to do in the meanwhile is just go through all the different projects that I made using both the fabric and the Vlieseline products, and it will just give you an idea of the versatility of the products and how gorgeous the Gütermann fabrics and threads are. So the thing that we're going to be looking at next, after I've shown you the products, is this bag. Now, this is a simple little clutch. I wanted to do something that would be contemporary but suitable for a wedding. I mean, you could use it to store things in, but I thought it made a really nice bag. So I wanted to do something where I had the zip actually prone to the top, so it looked a little bit different. And this is the Canadian smocking, which we're going to look at in a minute. But the products that I used were the H630, so that just gives a little bit of structure, a bit of softness, and that's got bonding on one side, so you can actually bond it to your fabric. This ended up as a really great project. I can't wait to use it. I've used all of the 3 fabrics that I showed you. You can see on the inside we've got that lovely lining. So that's the first one that we made, and I was really happy with the result, both of how well the fabric sewed and also using some slight structure using the Vlieseline H630. So that's the first one. Now, the second thing that I made was actually a super simple make. Now, I mentioned before that I was going to try and do things using partial parts of the fabric. And again, I've just used some Bonder web here to put it onto a very simple drawstring rag and use some of the fabric to make the drawstring ties. Now, if I open this up, you will see what it is that I've made. If I tear this out. Right. Okay, before you all think it's bean bags and I'm about to juggle, it's actually pattern weights. Increasingly, lots of people don't want to use pins. There are situations where you're going to have to use pins, but if you're wanting to stabilize your fabric on top before you're cutting out, this is a great alternative to actually putting pins into your fabric. These are filled with rice, and they are very, very simple. They are just a rectangle of fabric where the length is twice the length of the width, and you just fold the rectangle, you sew 2 of the sides together, and then you fill it, and then you squeeze together the opposite sides and it creates a triangle. Really, really simple. But don't they look really, really wonderful with different fabrics? And those are all going to be put away in my bag, ready for my next dressmaking project. So that's the second thing I made, so I'll just pop those back in. Right, that's that one sorted. The next one I actually used to create a stuffed toy. Now this is Luna Lapin. You can Google her. It's actually the first time that I'd ever made a soft toy. It was incredibly rewarding, and I just wanted to do something where you can see, look at the fabric. Isn't that beautiful? So she's got that there, and that's actually got some of the Bonder web, Vlieseline Bonder web, to give a little bit of extra structure to her ears. And you can see the Gütermann fabric has slightly adapted the dress that was in the book that you can have a look online and purchase. And you can see as well, she's got the fabric on her feet. So just a really pretty way of using this, and the cotton would be perfect for clothes. Luna loves them, and I'm sure anybody made some clothes would like them too. Right, the last project. Now I made a proper bag. Okay, now this, I wanted to make a bag because you can see, should have ironed it more before I brought it on. I wanted to create something using the Decaville light. So this bag actually makes use of the H630 and the Vlieseline Decaville light. I wanted to see how structured it would make my bag, and I was actually really delighted with the results. I have used it, you can see here, let me just pop it there. It doesn't actually have a bottom. I think what I might do is I actually might put a false bottom in so it can actually stand up by itself. But the sides, if I just hold them, you can see they're not bowing. They're standing up beautifully, but they're not too structured that makes it really difficult to sew. You've always got, as a bag maker, the dilemma between, if I make it too structured, then I'm going to need something really a little bit more tough machine wise to be able to sew through, even if you take the stiffening or stabilizing products in a little bit from the seams. This meant that actually I was able to create a lovely bag with some structure and some softness. In the pockets here, I've got the H630, actually made a little bit of my own piping using the fabric. You can see I've got a contrast fabric on the inside, and I've just used the handles, and then I've got that contrast in the lining. So this is actually perfect summer bag. I was really surprised how easy it was to use the Decaville light. I'm definitely going to be using it in more bag projects in the future. So that gives you an idea of the things that I've made. I have absolutely loved creating with these fabrics. They are beautiful. You will love using them, and they sew like a dream. I didn't have any issues sewing with them whatsoever. And I'm going to show you next how simple it is to create the Canadian smocking on this bag here. So whilst I'm not showing you how to make the complete bag, I am going to show you one of the elements that I have used, and that is using a technique called Canadian smocking. Now, being somebody who's English, I'm quite used to the concept of English smocking, but this is a little bit different. And what it does is it produces, it's like fabric manipulation, but it produces really beautiful effects. Now, this is the back of it, and that's because I'm going to show you how to do it. Quite often, if you look online, you will see that it's made with a satin. Now, because I'm not a great fan of satin, I would always prefer to work in sort of more of the matte or cotton types of fabric. So I thought I would use it with cotton, and actually it's really easy to use. The fabric drapes really beautifully. You can see just here how well it is looking. And this is not the final part of it. It does need a little bit of pressing. It's going to need tying into the bag. But what I wanted to show you was the basic idea. Now there are some brilliant YouTube tutorials. Bear in mind this is the first time that I've done it. I've actually done a practice sample which I will show you, but this is the say the second time. I did it all in an evening. So it is actually really easy. So all you do is you create grids on your fabric using either a pen that is washable, or just something that's not going to mark through but that you can remove. Now I appreciate on this colour fabric it's actually going to be really challenging, so I'm going to try and angle it, see if we can see. Okay, this is going to be more difficult than I thought. What I'll do is I'll try and put a link to it in the comments, but hopefully you can just about see here. There we go, just about see the grid. Now obviously I've done it lightly. I'll bring it right in. There you are. So what the grid is, it is 1 inch squares, and you put all the 1 inch squares, as many as you're going to need, on your piece of fabric, and then depending on the pattern that you want will depend on the markings that you're going to place. And these ones here, you're just using like a triangular pattern. So it's actually really easy. I'm going to show you really quickly how you do it. I'm not doing a full tutorial because otherwise this would be way too long. But all you do, I've finished this little part here. So you would find your next part of the grid. Okay, so you tend to do it in rows. So you do one row and then you go and you're sort of zigzagging down the fabric. So I finished at this little point here. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to get myself anchored to the next part. So this part here, I know it's going to be really hard for you to see. I should have done it on lighter fabric. I'll show you the other one. But all you're going to do is you're just going to take a tiny little pinch of fabric at the 2 intersecting points. Now what we're doing is we're just producing the point from where we're going to do the next bit of sewing. Now we've got that little bit of thread, and again the thread you're using, although it's going to be really difficult for you to see, you do need to use a thread that ties in with the colour of your fabric, and the reason for that is just fairly obvious. You don't want it showing. So then we're going to go back in again. I'm going to make a little knot, and the reason that we're doing that is because when I pull my fabric together, I don't want it to pull the little bit there that that bit there. So I don't want that pulling. So I've got an anchor point here, and then all we do is we literally just follow the triangular grid. So I'm going to go up to this little edge here, and I'm going to take, there you are, just put my needle in here, go across to the other point. And again, this is why you do need to be a little bit accurate, but just a ruler and your craft mat and a pencil. That's all I used. Take it to the next point, and then you're going to come back to the point that you started with. So again, a little tiny stitch there, and then all we do is we join it together. You see I've just pulled all of those little parts together, and then to make sure it stays together, you would just put your, again, using only the very edges of this. We don't want to go through into what is the reverse currently, but will be the top of the fabric. So we're just going to sew. So again, another little one. Take your thread round, because what we're doing is we're just creating a simple knot, and that's how you do it. Okay, so once you've gone through and done it, I've got a few more rows left to do on this one. This is the back, and actually, in some ways, I kind of prefer it. But once you've done that, you'll end up with it looking like this. This is where you would need to tease it, and then you're going to need to press it slightly. And then once you've done that, you will end up with this effect. You see, that's the reverse that I've just been showing you. And then on this side, you've got this brick pattern. Now, if you want a bow pattern, all you would do is you collect these little bits here, and then you would put a couple of little stitches on top. So you can actually create a bow pattern from this, but it's so clever and so simple. And that's what's going to create the lovely texture in the middle of my bag panel. So I hope you enjoyed this look at the Gütermann fabrics and the Vlieseline products. Do check them out online. If you search for Ring of Roses, the Gütermann suppliers will come up in your region or country. Certainly Vlieseline is available worldwide too. One thing that I would say is do read the instructions on the Vlieseline products. They have given you those for a reason. And as tempting as it is to just think, oh, well, I'll just do it for a small amount of time, don't. Do press for the recommended amount of time, because that's going to give your optimal results for the products. I learned the hard way. So next time I will definitely be using them to the correct amount of time. All that means is if you want your bonding to last, you need to make sure that the glue is heated and pressed for the right amount of time. So that's the only thing that I would say with the Vlieseline products. I should have read the instructions properly. But once I did, and once I used them correctly, I had an absolute ball creating with them, and it's opened up new ideas for me, new opportunities to use them. And I know that when I'm creating something, I know which tools I'm going to go to. So I know that if I want something more structured, Decaville Light is going to be perfect. I love the softness and the added volume that the H630 gives me, and of course using it with beautiful fabrics like these Gütermann Cozy Mood collection from Ring of Roses Fabrics. You've got a marriage made in heaven. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you want to ask any questions about anything that I've made, do leave this in the comments, and I will see you soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.